Hello and welcome to a new history lesson. Today we'll be studying the way Nazis dealt with women.
As we have discussed in previous lessons, German society was male dominated. During the Third Reich, both men and women were considered equally vital members of the national community, thus, their roles were clearly differentiated. Nazis had a very traditional view of the role of women. They expected women to be good wives and mothers, and for these reasons, they were expected to master homekeeping skills such as cooking and sewing and to be physically healthy to bear children. This was completely opposite to the modern women that appeared during Strassmann's golden years. Those women rebel against tradition. Yes, they wore makeup, trousers, high heels because they were fashion conscious. They seek professional careers, they smoked, they were slim, something that was not considered healthy in order to bear children. Now, why is it that it was so important for the Nazis to change this? There were three main reasons. To make Germany greater again, Hitler needed to increase population, as more people meant more power, more soldiers. To tackle unemployment, this is something you really shouldn't forget. And to return to old German traditional values praised by most Germans in society. As increasing population was one of the government's main aims, making sure that healthy women married proper, pure Aryan husbands was a must. And this is clearly shown in the 10 commandments for the choice of a spouse that was issued to women. Okay, we can not only see racial importance, yes, when it says remember you're a German and to keep your body pure, but also we can see the importance of children. The last one, the importance of their commandments. The last point says you should want to have as many children as possible. And clearly, because of this, women's lives had to be devoted not to work or issues like politics, but to the 3 Ks. Which were these 3 Ks? Of course, they are Ks because the words are in German. Okay, Kinder, Küche, Kirche. Children, kitchen, and church. These had to be the focus of women's lives. Now, to foster this expected behavior, the government implemented a series of policies in order to encourage German births and suitable marriages. There were financial incentives. For example, there were loans for marriage and birth grants. One clear example is the law for the encouragement of marriage. This meant that recently weds were given a loan of 1,000 marks, and they were able to keep 250 of those marks for each kid they had. This was as a way of encouraging marriage. The Lebensborn program is something really terrible nowadays, but in those times it was implemented just for the sake of bearing children. This was for single pure Aryan women to donate a baby to the future. This meant they were going to procreate with SS men that were the purest Aryans in Germany. Of course, this increase in birth rate led to an improvement in maternity services, and another way of encouraging women to bear children were rewards. The clearest example is the Mother Cross. This had bronze, silver, and gold, and it was awarded for women bearing more people than usual. For example, if you had over 8 kids, you were awarded the Gold Cross, and you were recognized in society. You were allowed to be present in Nazi meetings or special rallies. A further policy that was implemented was divorce. Divorce became much easier as you could divorce on the basis of not being able to procreate with your partner. Women employment was reduced because they were supposed to stay at home and to support their husbands. In this way, the women were dismissed from civil service, they were dismissed from teaching, from hospitals. Don't forget that policies towards women were deeply connected not only to economy but also to education. That is something we've learned in our previous lessons. However, unmarried women over 25 were forced to agricultural work. And all these policies were not the only things that increased or fostered these attitudes in life. All organizations for women reinforced the traditional role of women, what women were expected to do. Not only that, but there were also penalties to reinforce the importance of these matters. For example, higher taxes were imposed on childless couples. There were title penalties on abortion, restrictions on contraception, and of course, as we have seen, the compulsory sterilization of undesirables were implemented just to foster pure Aryan births. However, in 1939, the Second World War broke out, and this changed completely everything. Why? Because women were needed not to raise kids, but they were needed in factories, they were needed in hospitals, and even by the middle of the Second World War at the war front. What are some conclusions from the policies implemented by Nazis? We may say that Nazis succeeded in their objectives because birth rates and marriages were increased. But this might have been due to economic recovery rather than Nazi policies. And these birth rates never went back to Weimar levels. By 1932, we might have said that these policies were contradictory. Why? Because Nazis conceived women as producers of babies, but they implemented compulsory sterilization for hereditary ill. They believed women had to stay at home, but they were needed in factories once the Second World War broke out. They were they supported family, and they had traditional values, but they encouraged birth outside marriage. For example, with the Lebensborn program, they encouraged divorce. So this made a lot of people in German society believe that Nazis were not consistent on their policies towards women and family. This is all for today. And taking into consideration all that has been said before, by 1945, most women were struggling between family and work responsibilities. I hope you've enjoyed and see you next class. Bye bye.